Hello guys and welcome here. My name is Asin and welcome back to another of my courses. So before we even start talking about Java and programming, I'd like to thank you all for joining this course. Honestly, for me, it's an honor to help you learning about this topic, and I'm pretty sure you will like this course. So basically, what exactly this course will all be about. So pretty simple. You'll see this course is mostly about programming with Java. So the way I work is pretty simple. So for those of you who maybe took another course with me, you know that I love to work with a lot of examples. So this is exactly what we're going to have in this course. So pretty simple. We're going to have a lot of examples and a lot of practice. So you guys will be able to have the theoretical concepts about Java and the practice. So basically we're gonna do a lot of practice because for me personally, what's the best way to learn is really to practice. So what exactly is the goal of this course? So pretty simple. For me personally, when I was creating this course, the main goal of it is really to help you understand what exactly is Java programming and how it works. So there are plenty of other programming languages out there, and Java is really an advanced programming language. So in my opinion, it's the same level as Python. Personally, I think it's a little bit more complicated than Python. My favorite one is Python, but Java is really close to it. So it's an amazing programming language, and my goal here in this course is really to teach you all the basics about it. So basically, we're gonna talk about everything. We're gonna talk about well, really from the beginning, which is setting up everything and really writing your first lines of code until the moment that you guys will write a little bit more advanced lines of code. So we're gonna learn to do different tasks, so mathematical calculations, really print some basic stuff, and you'll see it's pretty cool to learn. It's a little bit more different from other programming languages, but for those of you who already have some programming experience, let's say you did a little bit of Python or a little bit of C++, or I don't know, any other programming language, you'll see the logic behind it is pretty much the same. What else we're going to do? So we're going to learn how to create basic applications with Java. So basically when I'm talking about basic applications, you'll see, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's going to be really simple applications that, well, the main goal of those applications is pretty simple, but you'll learn a lot by creating them. It's not because it's simple that it's simple to make. So you'll see there is a logic behind everything that we're going to do in this course. And the goal here is really to teach you how exactly it works and how exactly you can program in really an efficient way with Java. Finally, the goal here of this course will be understanding how to work with basic and more advanced Java features. So we're going to work with different Java features and libraries, and basically what's going to happen in this course is that we're going to use them to perform different tasks. So you'll see we're going to have a lot of really interesting and interactive tasks that we're going to do in this course. In order to help you really learn about this programming language. So for those of you who don't necessarily have experience in programming, don't worry. I'm really starting out from the basics. It's really a beginner's course, and my goal here is really to teach you everything step by step in order for you guys to really become better programmers. Alright, so what exactly will you be able to do by the end of this course? So first thing that you will be able to do is really write and understand lines of code to perform various tasks. So what I'm trying to say by this is that you guys will be able to write down your own lines of code, basically based on what you will have learned in this course. And with those lines of code, you will be able to perform any tasks that you want. Well, maybe not any tasks that you want, because some are really complicated to make, but really some basic tasks. And what's interesting is that you will get the logic of programming, and you will start thinking more like a programmer when you will write down your code. So this is my goal here. My goal is not my goal with this course is not teaching you how to write down video games or really complicated things. It's really teaching you the logic behind programming. So this way you guys will understand exactly how to write down basic lines of code, and based on those basic lines of code, you will be able to write down more complex lines of code, more complex functions, and then more complex programs, then basic programs, and then more complex programs. Next thing that we're going to do is really learn to use Java in an efficient way. So basically, we're to perform an operation. Well, if it's a simple operation, we're not gonna write down, I don't know, like 20 lines of code to perform a simple operation. We'll try to be as efficient as possible and really try to not write too much to perform small tasks. If we don't have to write too much, we will not necessarily do it. If we need to write down long codes, well, we'll write down long codes. It's not a big deal. But my goal here is really to help you out, help you being more efficient when you are writing down different lines of code, or basically when you are coding in Java. Finally, it will be, well, another thing that you will be able to do is understanding and being able to use different tricks to write different Java projects. So it's pretty much the same thing as the first one. So basically you will understand everything that you will write. So my goal here is really not just that you guys do copy and paste. So it's pretty simple. I write something on the screen and you just copy and paste what I'm doing. It's well, it's not gonna be really useful for you guys. My goal is really that you look at the code, listen to what I say, and really try to understand each and every step. And by understanding each and every step, you'll see this is how you will become a better programmer and how you will learn how to program in an efficient way, if we can say it this way. Because once again, if you just do only copy and paste and you're happy because everything works, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have understood how to program in Java. My goal here is really to teach you the logic behind everything, and well, behind Java programming, and that you will be able then to program by yourself, or at least to write down some basic lines of code and really create some basic applications by yourself. Because by creating basic applications, you will be able to create more advanced things, you will be able to understand more things, and then basically use Java for your own goals. So besides of that, as I said, if you guys are experienced programmers, let's say you have programmed in another programming language, you'll see you should probably already have the logic of programming and writing down codes. So it's gonna be a little bit more easier for you. For everybody else, so basically for all the beginners that have never wrote any single line of code of their life, you'll see it's not gonna be that complicated. Well, maybe you'll find it a little bit complicated, but in my opinion, the most complicated part is really understanding and starting thinking from a programming logic. So it's really getting that logic. But once you have it, once you start thinking like a programmer, if we can say it that way, it's gonna be way more easier, and you'll see it's gonna be automatic. And the more you practice, the more it's gonna be easier. So I'm not gonna tell you that right after this course you'll become a master in Java. No, of course not. You'll have to finish the course and practice everything that you have learned, and by practicing you will become really master of your art. And this is my goal here, is really to basically show you the way, show you everything that you need to know in order to really start out in this programming language, and then grow slowly but steadily by practicing everything that you have learned. So that's it for this class, guys, and see you all in our next class. Hello guys, and welcome back to another class of our course about the complete introduction to Java programming. So in today's class, we are going to have a basic introduction to Java and simply talk about this programming language. So we don't have, you'll see in this course, there is not a lot of theory, but in my opinion, it's really important to talk about the programming language as a whole before going into the programming part. So let's start. Alright, so basically, what exactly is Java programming language? So first of all, we can say that Java programming is a programming language used by developers to create various applications. So there is plenty of applications that exists right now that runs on basically Java. We can think of some web applications as an example. For example, when you go on the web, sometimes it will ask you if you want to update Java. So basically, this means that those applications are usually run on Java programming language. So what's cool about Java is that it's really useful, especially for huge applications, and it's a world-class programming language. So it's really used everywhere in the world, and it's really popular. So basically, like Python, both of them are really popular programming languages. Besides of that, well, basically, as I said, it's really an amazing programming language. Is it hard to learn? So how hard is programming? This programming language is hard to learn. So we can't really, in my opinion, it's not that it's complicated to learn. It's really understanding the logic behind this programming language. So let's say, for example, you've already programmed in another programming language such as Python or C++. You'll see it's a little bit easier learning another programming language because you have the logic, you understand basically how exactly programming works, what exactly you need to do, and once you get the logic of a certain language, you'll see it's not that complicated. But the problem is when, for example, you start learning your first programming language, yes, it can be a little bit complicated. If, for example, Java is your first programming language, in my opinion, it's going to be a little bit more complicated to learn than Python. But once again, this is from my personal point of view. I know people who found Java way easier than Python, but once again, from my personal point of view, Python is a little bit more easier. But once again, Java has its pros, Python has its pros, and both of the languages are really amazing in my opinion. You can do really amazing stuff with those programming languages. So once again, it's not that I can say that it's hard or not hard to learn. It's really understanding this logic, like the programming logic. And once you get that logic, basically how to program and, well, really the basics of programming, or like the core of programming, you'll see it's not that complicated. All right, so where exactly is Java used? So usually Java is used to build large class applications, so really big business applications. So it works great with the corporate environment, or if you're building a very large scale system. But it can also be used for small tasks. Well, it's less suitable for that, but it can work as well. In my opinion, basically Python is more suitable for really smaller tasks. But if you want to build really high and really huge applications, Java is really a must to learn. Sometimes you will use even two programming languages, so basically you can use Python and Java at the same time. Well, you need to be a little bit more advanced to do that, but it's possible. And basically building applications with Java, well, usually works really well when you build big applications with Java. And as I said, it's really an amazing programming language, and it's used everywhere in the corporate world. So it's really popular in the corporate world. And if you want to have a job basically in programming, Java in the modern and corporate world is really a must. All right, is Java an object-oriented programming language? So some people say it is, other people say don't. Basically, it doesn't respect all the criteria to be programming, well, an object-oriented language. It respects some of them, but it doesn't respect, well, all of them. So it's not a purely object-oriented language. So I'm not gonna go too much in details. So what exactly I can say about it, for example, primitive data, well, if we talk about, first of all, primitive data types. So for example, in Java, there is no differences between values which are objects and values which are primitive data type, which is not the same thing in a object-oriented language. So if we talk about, for example, in another object-oriented language, which is a pure object-oriented language, values such as integers, booleans, and the other things are also objects. In Java, where we have basically it's a little bit more different. There are predefined types as non-objects, so primitive types. If we talk about, for example, the static keyword, well, when we declare a class as a static, then it can be used without the use of an object in Java, for example. If we use, well, another thing, if we use a static function or static variable, then we can call the function or variable by using a dot. So those are some things that doesn't make Java a pure object-oriented programming language. And once again, there are some properties that it doesn't respect. So once again, it respects some properties. There are 7 of them. I respect some of them, but not all of them. And this is why it's not a pure object-oriented language, even if it respects some of the properties. All right, why programming in Java and why learning this programming language? So first of all, it's one of the most popular programming languages that exists nowadays. In my opinion, this is already a pretty good reason. So if you guys want to start out in the business world and really start out, well, in the programming world, you'll see Java is really a must. You need to know Java basically to work for businesses or to work in the corporate world. So it's really a popular programming language in the corporate industries, in the, well, any type of industries, basically in technologies, in finances, in well, in corporate and business. So it's really popular once you go in the professional world, and it's a little bit like Python, but Java is really, it's as popular as Python. It's beginner friendly. Even if in my opinion it's a little bit harder to learn than Python. It's possible to learn Java as a first programming language, so it's really beginner friendly. There is a lot of communities that exists online that can help you in your learning process. So for those of you who don't know about this, there's a lot of forums online. There is a huge communities about well, Python, Java, C++, and other programming languages that exists. And basically, let's say you have a problem with your code, you can write down online and ask questions and say, hey, I'm not able to do this or that doesn't work. And there's a lot of people who are willing to help you out, finding the mistake and basically correcting the mistakes or the errors in your code. And you'll see it's pretty cool when you start programming. There are huge communities. There are places like, for example, GitHub, where people offer their codes for free. So basically, it's open source. You can deposit your code there. Let's say you're creating an application for, I don't know, for a game like, for example, Flappy Bird, and you deposit your code there, and people will simply reuse your code to modify the application, create something that they want, or add something to the code, or other things like this. And what's cool with programming is that sky's the limit. So basically, you can do whatever you want. You can use it for finances, you can use it for business, you can use it for ethical hacking and security, you can use it for data science. So basically, there are plenty of ways that you guys can use those skills, and this is why it's pretty cool programming. And as I said, since Java is really popular, there are huge communities out there. So let's say you are creating a program that will trade for you, so it will open positions in the financial world for you. So you can basically simply upload your code online. Let's say you have some problems, and you will have a lot of people that will be willing to help you out with your code to solve that issue. And people will even retake your code, modify it, and well, basically it's a huge community, and everybody helps everybody. This is why, in my opinion, programming is pretty cool, and Java is a pretty cool programming language because of its popularity and all the resources that you guys have online. So I hope you have a little understanding of what exactly is Java and why it's a good programming language. And if you want to start with it, I hope it motivates you a little bit more. So right now, my goal is really that you have a brief understanding of this programming language. So that's it for this class, guys, and see you all in our next class.